Have the gods forsaken us? Our emperor has faltered, and we are fractured. We are but playthings, marching to the drums that clap like thunder. We die with a scream and a cold breeze. Fight with the spear, fight with the sword, with bow and shield. Take back our shores of Korantia. Turn the gods' eyes back to us. Make them see our courage, our honor, our glory. We are the empire of men, men destined to inherit the earth. None will stop us. Fight on, men of the golden shield, the silver spear, the bronze sword. Fight for Korantia. Alright, so here we go. This is the premiere, chapter 1 of Shores of Korantia, using Mythras, also known as RuneQuest 6. My players and characters are from left to right of the tokens. We have Wander as Cineas, and if I mispronounce you guys' name, just let me know. Rogue as Aegeus, is that right? Aegeus. And Matt as Phaedra, and Ghost as Gorgus. For those who don't know, this is a Greek setting, a fantasy Greek setting, so there's similarities there to Greek mythology. If you don't know anything about Mythras or the system or the setting, I suggest going back and looking at session 0 that we just did, and that can help you if you are so inclined to watch those sort of things. Alright, I'm going to start with a bunch of introductions to the game, so bear with me while I read like 4 handouts. And if you can't hear me or can't see the handouts as well, just let me know. The year is 1220, and Emperor Koibos XIV sits upon Lanis' golden chair. The Emperor, now 22, has reigned for 3 years. When Koibos came to power, he first ordered a foundation of a new city-state in his name. The fleet sailed across the sea with 10,000 Korantine men and 40,000 freemen and helots. They conquered a lush island and drove the local pagans into hiding or exile. There, the city-state of Koibos was founded after 2 years of fighting. The Ansarai War was difficult. Many men died of disease, as odd sicknesses spread throughout their number. Although the Korantine were better equipped and fielded more men, they struggled with the vast jungles and sweltering heat. Eventually, the Korantine won a great victory and killed the Ansari king. But long after the Ansari was subjugated and work on the newest city-states began. The Emperor Koibos' expedition was funded by others, as the Emperor's true power over many city-states is limited. Many of the powerful states took credit, and almost immediately political discord began. For the next year, the great works were built, temples to the gods, statues of the emperor, public works, etc. But infighting prevailed, and eventually the Ansari returned and rose up. Most of the Korantine fled the island and returned home. Countless state silver was lost in the expense of vanity, and now the city-states harbor resentment to not only the emperor, but also amongst themselves. Over a century ago, 6 paladins of the cult of Lanis constructed a small temple on the frontier of Korantine culture and influence. They struck out into the wilds to convert pagans and spread the word of his holy might. Men and women left Tysil and other city-states to join them. Eventually a town blossomed, and a temple grew, and the region fell under the control of the Korantia. Naxios became the base of expansion into the frontier, with other towns brought under its control by the spear or Lanis' words. Aegina and Paros were once full of uncivilized pagans, and now they make sacrifices to Lanis and the other gods of the Korantine League. Let me start this back up again. Bear with me, sorry.
No worries.
DJing. 3 decades ago, expansion stopped. Tysil and Naxos began to feud. Senators from Naxios wanted more influence in Tysil, and those in Tysil wished to dip their hands into Naxios' affairs. Rebellion was brewing. The Tysil army began to muster, but Naxos sent emissaries all over the empire looking for allies. The conflict between the subordinate town of Naxos and its master Tysil threatened to throw all of Korantia into civil war. Luckily, the philosopher Zarek of Tysil and the high priest of Lanis at Naxos brokered a peace. War was averted, but the political climate of both Tysil and Naxos changed forever. Naxos was now a semi-independent but paid a tribute to Tysil in exchange for protection. Naxos formed their own senate and only followed the decrees of Tysil as it saw fit. Today, the relationship between Tysil and Naxos is one of slight distrust and enmity. Present-day troubles. The Senate of Naxos rules through the form of oligarchy. Senators are elected from landowners, most of whom also serve as senators. These senators direct daily life in Naxos, and the court of Lanis is a powerful force in Naxos' politics. The tithes that are given to Lanis is shared with the local government, but more importantly, the pilgrims visiting spend silver while here. Naxos is, for all purposes, a tourist destination. Trade to the border towns does flow through Naxos, but the trade is limited by the demand and the remote settlements and goods they provide. Veterans of the Ansari War have returned, but many never will. This has left the population very unbalanced. Many widows starve or sell themselves into servitude. Others flood the Red Veil alleys and sell their bodies. Smaller farms have been abandoned or claimed by the powerful. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The helots now outnumber the citizens by a huge margin, but many are left without any masters and have been cast out to die of starvation. There are frequent protests and riotous behavior that is quelled by the city guard. The Senate has tried to lure freemen to Naxos, offering loans of farmland, but the few large landowners have made it impossible. They outbid most any at auction, and few have found new fortunes here. Naxos is a powder keg of resentment ready to explode. One more. And in the middle, you. Aegeus' dream rose him from his sleep with a purpose. Find an injured girl miles away. Cineas was a friend, and he had a gift. Between the two, they struck out north with the blessing of Aegeus' cult. There they found the girl Phaedra, and an outcast among many in the city. She was gored, or so it seemed, by a boar. Collecting her, they returned to the temple where Phaedra was nursed to health. Both Aegeus and Cineas were confused by the one thing they found with her that seemed strange: a mask. This was not a masquerade mask, but one that appeared similar to those worn by ancient pagan cults of Korantia's ancient past before Lanis and his children showed them the light. Pagan cults across Korantia were not unheard of, but here in this holy place it was unthinkable. This was where pagans were brought to the light of Lanis, not the other way around. Phaedra claimed to not know what the mask is or where it came from. It was all very dubious. The acting high priest, Eumetius, has studied the object and informed Aegeus he will come to a decision about what must be done. In the meantime, Gorgos, a member of the city guard, finds himself spiraling as his family suffers. He is an outcast even as a freeman. His family is looked down upon due to his father's foul deeds any desperate man might make. Gorgos languishes in a position he most likely would never advance from. Even after serving in the war, the only war that mattered now, he was dismissed and scorned. Gorgos was surprised when he was given a temporary assignment to assist the paladin of the Temple of Lanis. It was a companion in war, Aegeus himself. The two had fought side by side each other for almost a year of the campaign, and had seen men die in battle and of illness. They had seen horrors of many others would never know. The emperor declared his victory, and even before the foothold was lost, both those men knew better. Cineas, not unlike the rest, had a troubled past. He chose a path of a physician, but his brother may have chosen the family's long-standing tradition of sorcery. It was not forbidden, but many sorcerers turned mad and followed the ways that are an affront to the gods. It was a dangerous business. Anaxios, his brother, never admitted to do this practice, but Cineas suspects. Even now, Anaxios is the newest senator elected to replace one of the half-dozen that died in the war. Sorcerers scheme, but if Anaxios has a master plan, they are hidden from his brother's eyes. Phaedra, though, is the reason you are here. She is Korantine, but only barely. A child of Paros, she only recently has come to Naxos. More women was not what the Senate had in mind. There are no men here for you to marry, she and her mother were constantly told. It was as if they were discounted as soon as they arrived. Marriage was the last thing on the mind, though, as Phaedra's mother Basius raved about the gods and her heretical ways. It did not take long upon their arrival for the two to be branded outcasts. Phaedra scraped by guiding pilgrims deeper into the frontier. Her family knew Cineas due to his charity, and Gorgos when Basius' screams and hysterical statements caused the gods to be called. But none expect such a strange happening to be involved with the girl. It was all very strange indeed, and the cult of Lanis would not allow the purity of the pantheon of Korantia to be defiled. Pagan gods would be defeated by the light of Lanis and those he wields like swords against his enemies. Alright, let's get over to the slide. And hopefully I can see this time. Which I know I can. Each of you have been summoned forth to the Temple of Lanis on the outside of Naxos. For different reasons you're here. Aegeus, you live here. You are a paladin at the temple. Phaedra, you have been here having your wounds tended to as Aegeus and Cineas had found you in the north. Gorgos, your presence is a bit more surprising. You know Aegeus. How do you pronounce your name? I'm sorry.
Aegeus.
Aegeus. You know him from the war. You know everyone, but definitely know him from the war and the closest. Cineas, he did deliver your youngest sister. But the militia has asked you to come here by request. You're told that you're likely to be transferred under the command of Aegeus. But other than that, you're kind of in the dark. As you walk into the temple grounds, you see the rest of you kind of milling about in the middle of the large columns. There's statues of the gods, and particularly Lanis, all about, made of white alabaster rock. The ground is gold and ornate. This place is the epitome of wealth. particularly in a place like Naxos, which is known to be on the frontier of the land. But this place here, the Temple of Lanis, this far into the eastern frontier, the northern frontier, is a place of pilgrimage for many Korantines as they travel here to see one of the most remote temples of Lanis, and where many of his paladins have pushed out into the countryside to convert pagans and heathens to his light. As you wait, there is an opportunity for you to roleplay and give your intros if you like. You can start as you will.
Do we want to do intros in particular?
Yeah, you can do intros. Yeah,
All right.
this would be a good time for them.
I am called Aegeus. I have given my life in servitude of the great Lanis, who gives us light and warmth in these dark times. When the world is filled with darkness, Lanis will show us the way home. It was not always so, for many of my younger years were filled with debauchery and wine. My family lived in a beautiful place, and I grew up well, running in the fields where the wheat would grow. Under the dark grapevines, I learned to fight with my brother Eros. My father, Thaddeus, owned a vineyard in the city, and he was also a politician. It kept us well off for as long as I could remember. My father paid a soldier to train us. Gracchus would train us twice a week in the shade of the grapevines, and I remember they were happy times. I would always be told that my younger brother and I would one day inherit the business and would need to be responsible enough to run it all. That I needed to be a good example for my little brother, but I was not. I spent my time in the taverns, learning songs, drinking, flirting with beautiful women. So much, in fact, that it angered my father and mother, and I was sent away to the military to learn discipline, to learn about honor and duty. I did learn those things, but I also learned about hatred and pain and suffering, the darkest things soldiers see in the wars. I knew that it was not what I wanted to do for my career, and as soon as I was able, I had served my duty and returned home after several years. I was so happy to see my family, my little brother again, but I learned, sadly, that I would never be able to see them in this life again. I remember there were times when my father spoke of a man, a rival in the same industry, in the Senate as well, a madman, Varus. He was a cunning and dangerous man, my father said, but told us not to worry about it, that it was a problem of a political nature. I know in my heart that my family betrayed no one. I know they were condemned for something not true. I returned home to be placed in chains, questioned about my loyalty to the kingdom. Of course I was loyal. I was serving the kingdom, the empire. Why would they treat me like this? My service was strong and with conviction. I came to find out that somehow my entire family had been corrupted and accused of treason, sending secrets to the enemies. They were all executed. Yet when I heard this, when I felt the flash of pain inside, knowing this was not true, I could see the faces of each of my family members. It killed me. It was a knife stabbing me in the heart. With each glimpse of those, I would see them all taken from me, But at the end of this vision, the last blade through my heart was Varus. For some reason I could see his face. Perhaps this vision was sent by the gods. I sank into misery, and my suffering brought me back to the wine. Yet in that stupor I knew well what I had to do. How dare that pompous prick do this to my family? And of course, now he owns our vineyard and our lands and has taken all that we own to fit in his purse for greed. That vile, pathetic man. I planned to murder him one night. I planned to kill his family and let the blood run into the streets. But before I could come to visit him, I wanted him to know his line would end. But it was Cineas who saved me. He found me laying in a drunken stupor and knew who I was. He well knew the story of what had happened to my family. He believed there were suspicions, for he was a friend of my father, but the evidence, the falsified evidence the snake Varus had provided was too compelling. Cineas saved my life, and perhaps my soul, for it was he that nursed me back to health. I want that bastard Varus to pay with his life. I know his son as well, following right in his footsteps, carving people out of their fortunes and their homes every day. Their duty to seek out corruption in the kingdom is built on lies. One day I will stand before Varus, and I will be put to the test. Will I be able to bring light to even his soul? As I see it now, him and his son, the only light I will bring will be through them due to my spear. And that's Aegis.
I'll go next then.
Just hold on one second.
Oh.
Let's fix this.
I-
All right, Phaedra, go ahead.
My name is Phaedra. I did not grow up here in Naxos. I grew up with my mother in Paros. My mother, she is a bit of a crazy one. Everyone in town says so. I've seen her wandering around in the forest late at night, early in the morning, really whenever she can get out of the house. She says when she was younger she had some sort of encounter with a demigod or something in the forest, became impregnated and had me. And of course, over the years she refused to take any other man, wanting for only him to come back. Said that he would come to her again. My mother, when she was younger, I heard it from many of the men in Paros. She was a beautiful woman. Any of the men would be lucky to have her. Any of the men would be happy to have her even with me, I'm sure. Unfortunately, as I said, she refused to take anyone else. I had to rely on the kindness of strangers until I was 5 years old for any sort of care, as most of the time she was only inwardly focused. I took up the bow and hunting at the age of 5. It was quite a struggle to maintain any sort of income at that age. I'm sure many people just felt sorry for me, sorry for us. And as I aged, I became greater at both hunting, finding prey, getting bigger and bigger things to sell. Soon, her insanities became even too much for the kind people of Paros to handle. They became ostracized, almost pariahs in a way. I was 14 when we finally decided to move out of Paros, come to Naxos. A few years ago is when I befriended Phidias. my owl companion. I found him as only but an egg as I was hunting and decided not to eat him that day. I am very glad I made this decision as he has become one of my greatest and only friends and companions. I've tried to help my mother as much as I can, as much as any one child can help their parent. Unfortunately, she has not helped me, nor does she attempt to seek any sort of help. I curse any sort of god in that way, as why would one make a woman such as she suffer so grievously? So I spend my time alone in the forest, guiding people to get corn. I hunt when I can, and besides Phidias, I spend my time alone, making sure my mother and I are provided for. Now Phaedra, hasn't really spoken to the others very much. She's more confused than anything being here. She has no memory of what happened. She stands in this extremely opulent place. There's only a slight hint of disgust on her face, seeing the opulence of what's here compared to how other people, mostly herself and her mother, live. And that's Phaedra.
Okay, who would like to go next?
Can you go?
Go ahead.
I am Cineas. I am a physician and a follower of the Stoic philosophers. I believe in a life not ruled by passion, but lived in the pursuit of virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, temperance. These are the things that make a good life. I am not as young as I once was, but I have never made my living by the strength of my arms. My knowledge, I hope, wisdom, have always been the key to my profession. I was born into a family who were wealthier than most, and viewed as lucky. We always seemed to come through bad times better than ever. I was some years old, in my teenage years, when I first realized why this was. My father and my grandfather were sorcerers. This in itself is not a bad thing, they say, though I frown on it. But I have come to believe that the wealth and the success, the luck of our family are due to some dark pact my grandfather made. I cannot prove it, but I've seen enough over the years to be sure of it. And I am sure that someday there will be a reckoning. To make things worse, my brother Anaxios has followed in their foolish footsteps. We have argued over this matter many times, that his sorcerous ways and lack of virtue in his life will lead to his downfall, but he will not listen. He is stubborn. We no longer speak. And he is now an influential man, and I suspect he will try to make my life difficult if he can. I have a talent. And it is one that has led to my career and to my hobbies as well, you might say. I have the ability to sense when blood is spilled. I do not know why I have got this. I do not know where it comes from. I have always had it. But this always led me to those who were injured. And when out hunting, it led me to wounded animals and made me very popular as a member of a hunting party. And In time, this led me to my career as a physician, helping those who were injured as part of hunting, and then helping those I found along the way. And as I traveled from place to place, if I sensed blood, I would follow the trail and find the injured, aid them as best I could. This life has been good to me. I have, over the years, I could have been quite wealthy. But I have always put virtue ahead of luxury. And therefore, when there are those I've seen who needed my help, who have been victims of injustice, I have given my time and what money I have gained to aid them. I am not as wealthy as I could be, but virtue is its own reward. And now I am here with my protege, Aegeus, now grown to very competent manhood, and we will see what the future holds for us. But I will be there for him, no matter what.
Gorgos?
Life is no simple thing to be so easily defined by words, but I will try. I am Gorgos, son of Vestus. This town owes part of its thanks to me for its safety. Not that I will ask, because I will not receive it. Our family is known in these lands. My mother birthed 5 children, you see. A difficult feat, but she was strong of body. My sister was the last. As she came forth from my mother's womb, all life left my mother's eyes. My sister survived the birth, and she carries the scars with her. Even as a child, she thought such death was her doing. None of us did. But my father wished to give my sister a better life, one free of guilt. My father left our home in our care for 3 months on my 18th name day. He returned with no discussion of where he had gone or what he had brought home in his pack. He spent many days at her grave, laying strange carvings and posts all around. He was a farmer, you see. It was a family plot. No one asked questions, and there were no townsfolk that would see his strangeness. A man from the village went missing. As a member of the town militia, it was my charge to search for him. I stopped home to take a meal before continuing my search of our city. I went into our cellar for a bit of wine to calm my mind and better arrange my thoughts for the manhunt. Instead, I found the man in my own home. His throat had been cut, and pottery full of blood had been placed on a table below. I then saw the bones of what I would later find to be my mother laid out upon a slab. My father brought home a book of dark magics, and he sought to use them to undo my mother's death. I had no choice but to turn him over to the city. I had hoped they would spare us the hatred of the townsfolk. I did not plead for him to be released or pardoned. His guilt was clear, and he accepted his imprisonment. But I wonder now if what I did was right. My family is more hated than ever before. My brothers struggle to live as fishermen. My sisters are bullied under the noses of their mentors. I myself have been passed over many times for promotion. I know that several of my fellow watchmen look at me with disdain. All of this for my father, who loved his wife, who missed her so dearly he would do anything to bring her back. Perhaps I should have let him try. I do not hate my father. I hate what has happened because of his folly. I hate the people who look at us with contempt. There will come a day when they wish me to save them. Perhaps I will remember these things that they have done to us. The warrior in me may seek glory, but I will not help those fool souls who hold us in such low regard. I will fight for family, or because I wish to, for nothing else.
All right. Phaedra, you are standing in this great place. You remember the last few days of your care, and you vaguely remember Cineas and Aegeus rescuing you that day. Your health has returned to normal between Cineas's work as a physician and the prayers that have healed you. You're unsure which is the miraculous healing that you've received, although you've fully recovered. The bandages were taken off this morning, and there's but a scar there. You look around you, and you see Cineas and Aegeus standing close to one another, speaking. And entering now is a big man, Gorgas, and I will let you guys take it away with roleplay amongst yourself.
Aegeus will turn towards Phaedra and walks. I imagine he's probably in like his normal garb right now. Probably not the armor and everything.
Yeah, you probably are in your robes.
Yeah. So he turns away from looking at his armor, which is like mounted on the wall there, and looks towards Phaedra. And so, how are you feeling? Much better?
Phaedra, she was absent-mindedly kind of touching her side where the scar now is, just staring over in Cineas's and Aegeus's direction, not quite looking at them, more looking. She's snapped out of her thoughts as Aegeus speaks to her. Oh, I'm surprisingly a lot better than I was.
Lanis be praised. And he smiles at her, nodding.
I will say there's things that are missing in my memory. The two of you found me, yes?
Yes. I am Aegeus and Cineas. I suppose he should get more praise than I, for he is the one skilled in healing. And he looks over towards Cineas and smiles.
Cineas sort of holds up a hand, in a sort of forestalling manner as he, as Aegeus says that, and says, "No. You have your share of the credit for this young woman's recovery. We found her. We found you, Phaedra. Oh, which we don't know your name yet, do we?
So.
We found you, and together we treated you. My knowledge and the powers of the goddess complemented each other.
I would say you know her
knowledge.
name, by the way. You guys are,
we did.
right? Yeah. Like you guys had said that you had given her alms and stuff, so I'm assuming you all vaguely know each other at least. Phaedra probably the least of all, obviously, but
Okay.
And Gorgas just walked in?
yes.
Yes.
No. Yeah, Aegeus has turned to him as he walks in and smiles really brightly and puts his arms out to come embrace him and Gorgas! Haha! Good to see you, my friend.
And you as well. And he will keep his spear in the one hand as he is always armed, but he will return a half embrace. There is no trouble with this woman, I suppose.
No trouble. Cineas and I found her wounded, but brought her back to the temple.
Cineas will look over at this point and nod to Gorgas and say, "It is good to see you, Gorgas." And then he'll let Aegeus carry on.
And you as well, physician. Nod back to him.
Phaedra, she pipes in. This woman has a name.
Does she?
Phaedra.
Well, then you have my apologies, Phaedra of wherever.
I apologize if your height keeps you from looking down.
He just will laugh and say, excuse me for a moment. Your travels were safe, no? And he looks over to Gorgos.
I did not encounter anything on the road that could be considered trouble, no.
Can I fit you anything to drink?
I am here to guard you, my friend. I am the one who should be fetching you drinks, according to how this is customary.
To guard us, you say? That is an honor I have rarely, if ever, been given. Why are we in need of guarding?
Such things were not explained to me, and I would not expect it even if they were supposed to. It was merely to be transferred under the command of Aegeus here.
Well, we could not wish for a finer guard, Gorgos.
If only the people of my city shared your opinion.
The world is
But-
seldom as just as it should be.
True. This is neither here nor there. Should I refer to you as my lord, as sir, or just Aegeus, as old times?
Oh, please. Aegis. That's fine. And what of you, Phaedra? Would you like a drink?
She shakes her head. No. I thank you for your kindness, but I feel like both you and Snaeus have provided quite enough.
And as he goes and he pours a little bit of wine, it's okay for them to drink, is it?
Absolutely.
Okay. He looks back towards Phaedra and he says, "Where is it you are from, Phaedra?"
Out of character question, we are from. Oh boy,
You
Naxos.
yeah,
Or I'm from
yeah, you're from Paros, I think.
Paros. Yeah,
Yeah.
I recently have moved to Naxos a few years ago, but originally from Paros.
And everyone would know that Paros is one of the more recent towns that are brought under the light of Lanis. Perhaps 2 decades ago or so, the pagans from that town were mostly converted. Maybe.
And so he'll raise an eyebrow as he takes his glass and he says, "You said before that part of your memory is gone."
I don't quite remember the day I was attacked. I don't remember the attack itself. I have brief glimpses of the both of you finding me, though I'm curious as to how that happened. I do not tell people where I go.
When we were treating Phaedra, did we find signs of a head wound?
No, the only wound she had on her body was a gore. Looked like from a boar.
You had no physical harm that would explain such a thing. I suspect the cause is spiritual or arcane, and therefore beyond my knowledge. It is a little troubling, but interesting to note.
I do remember there was some sort of mask that was next to me.
And
Hmm.
Aegeus nods as he takes a sip. Yes, the mask. You do not remember it being on your possession, though.
No. She kind of looks around, maybe a little bit more antsy. Did you happen to see an owl when I was injured? At all?
Did we?
Let's see. What could we roll? See if you remember. Did you see it? Let's do a perception. Go ahead and you two give me a perception roll. It's standard. L through W. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I failed.
I didn't see your roll.
I see it.
That's it.
Oh, there it is. Sorry. Standard. Yep.
Aegeus succeeded.
Yep. GS, you do actually vaguely remember, because you remember kind of considering that it was huge, and it cast a shadow over you.
So he thinks for a moment and looking over towards Cineas and trying to remember the event. And then he remembers her laying there and the shadow passing by and casting a view up. First he probably thought it might have been a buzzard or something, and he turns and he says, "Yes, now that you mention it, I remember one flying overhead."
She nods, so I might be alright. When can we leave? Or, more importantly, when can I leave?
Are you ready to go home?
I'm ready to leave this temple, yes.
I am curious, Phaedra, why were you asking about an owl?
It is
Surely
my
that was-
companion.
An owl? The most unusual pet.
Easier to train than a man.
Cineas chuckles just a little. Nothing to excess.
Well, I suppose we could leave as soon as you're ready, then.
As you are saying that, you realize that you've been called here, right? So a man walks out from... You hear his light footsteps, and you see a Mythras. And a Mythras is one of the priests, the acting high priest of this temple. He's not technically a high priest of your order, but he is the highest ranking priest here. The former high priest died 6 months ago of old age. This man is not all that much older than you, Aegeus. He's a very spiritual man. He did not come up through the paladins like some of his order, but he is a wise fellow. His robes are red, crimson like the sun, and embroidered in gold. He walks closer to you. "Ah! Yes, you have come. Good. And he looks over. The girl is here as well, and the others. Good. You notice he's carrying something in a cloth sack.
What would I call him? Would it be father or?
Probably not. Probably just we'll just say wise one.
Yeah, then he just turns to him and kind of a half bow. And, um, um, yes, Wise, when we were just discussing escorting Phaedra back to her home.
In Naxos, then? No, I had something else in mind if you would hear me out, Phaedra.
Takes a sharp intake of breath through her nose. Crosses her arms, looking at Mythras. What is it exactly?
Oh, I would like your help in guiding these fine men towards where you were found. It was you, after all, that Aegeus dreamt of in his sleep, and brought him away from the temple and into the marshlands.
Phaedra slowly turns her head to look at Jade with a bit of a confused, if maybe mildly disgusted look on her face. If I'm getting paid, I would gladly bring these 3 men to the spot.
Of course. I would not wish you to do anything for the gods, only for your own pockets, if that is what it takes.
Unfortunately, not all of us can live in such luxurious places.
So, you have told Aegeus that you know nothing of this, and he pulls out a mask. The mask is made of bronze. It's quite plain. It's not ornamental. That would be like a masquerade or something, which the Korantine aristocracy sometimes do. So it's very strange. There are some well-known past cults before Lanis and his pantheon were revealed to the Korantine that wore these masks, and there are some other pagan cults that still do. But this in particular, it's very nondescript. I wonder if this is yours.
I have no memory of purchasing or finding such a thing, but it was found by my body. I cannot lay proper claim to it, though I may have found it with the gaps in my memory that I have.
These are gaps. Senes, you are a physician. Tell me, is there any injuries that you found on the girl that would describe these injuries, where she would lose her memory?
My experience, no. There was nothing that would cause such a thing. I suspect, therefore, the cause is either spiritual or arcane, more in your realm, Wise One, than mine.
I wonder. You say arcane or spiritual, but is there not a simpler explanation?
Are you saying I'm lying?
I am saying it is a possibility. Is it not?
For you, yes.
Do
I have no
know.
reason to lie.
Oh, do you not? You are, I believe, Perosi originally, is that correct?
I am indeed.
Perosi are known to have pagan leanings. Although the light of Lanis has shone on them, some do still push away his light and look into the darkness.
I must admit that is a simpler explanation. But I know too little of Phaedra's character to favour that explanation.
I do not make accusations, you see. I only show what is possible. And bowing your knee to pagans is not illegal. It is spiritually illegal, I suppose. For when you die, you will not be bathed in the light of Lanis, but that is neither here nor there. If this is your mask, then take it up, and we will not go on this foolish errand, and you will save my friends here a great deal of trouble. He kind of extends the mask to you.
I will lead your friends to the place they found me. This is not my mask, and, well, it would deprive me of the pleasure of being within the company of these three if you do not allow me to guide them to said place. I will be going back whether or not they follow.
Well then, it is settled then. He looks to Gorgos, looking up at you. You are who the militia has sent, yes?
Yes, Wise One. They assigned me to his command, Ajaeus.
Wonderful. Follow his orders in all things. Keep him safe, and the physician too.
As I am bidden, and he nods his head.
Good. Let Lanis' light guide you, and shone over you and protect you.
He says nothing to that, he just nods.
Aegeus will walk forward towards him and kind of a whisper more. Wise One, what do you think about this mask? Are you worried?
Well, we do not know that there are any pagan cults nearby to Naxos. None of any true strength. And so, if there is one, I would like to know about it. So we can drive out their heresy and spread the light of Lanis. This is your final test, Initiate.
He kind of straightens his posture up and bows to him. I will report to you my findings as soon as possible.
Good. If you do find members of this cult, he kind of turns his head slightly and there's a small crack. Well, find out what you can, if you must. Lanis will drive his holy weapon through their breasts with you as the wielder.
Indeed, Wise One. And then he backs away and starts to walk towards the others.
Yeah. Admetus, he pulls back the sack and ties it back up. He stands there just watching blankly with almost a smirk on his face.
Phaedra looks to Aegeus and Cineas. If you don't mind pointing me towards my weaponry, I can then guide the three of you to that place in the woods.
Of course. Right this way. He starts to head back in towards the room where his armor is as well, and shows her the chest and stuff where her remaining equipment is.
Yeah, all her stuff is well kept, ready for you guys to take.
Phaedra takes up her long spear and short bow and The only armor she really has is one made of hide, the one that she'd fashioned herself, that she kind of puts on. Looks to the other three. If you are ready, then we can go.
I have some items on my mule outside. I will go and retrieve them. And off he toddles.
Yeah, it doesn't take you long to prepare and get ready. Soon you're on the road outside of the temple. The temple sits more or less by itself. There are a few self-sustaining farms and orchards, grapes, olives, there's wheat, various things that there are some acolytes usually are the ones that tend to these. So they're usually young boys from 12 years of age to manhood, which is 16 or 17, around that. So as you walk out, you see all these young men in these white togas tending to these gardens and things of that nature. The road heads out of there's a small road. Let me show you guys the regional map, kind of refresh our let me show players. Okay, there you go. You'll see that there is a small part of the road that kind of cuts back. She was found in North Marsh, right on the edge of North Marsh. So you're going to be going overland. There's not much road there. As you do, go ahead.
I forgot. Can I, before we leave the temple, do something real quick?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
As we go outside, he would have probably had maybe an acolyte bring it around or something. And he walks over and looks towards Cineas and Cineas, I have a present for you.
Present, Aegeus. That is kind of you, but not necessary.
I know. But you are always giving. And you have done a lot for me. I probably wouldn't be alive if it was not for you.
Well, as I always say, Aegeus, virtue is its own reward. I have had the reward of watching you grow into a fine young man.
And, he places a hand on his shoulder and smiles, and he says, well, you are like a father to me, and I know if any dangers were to come our way, I would like you to have a friend to help you, to guard you, if you will. Come.
And you,
Cineas will follow.
yeah, as you guys are kind of walking, you see at the end of the kind of the walkway to the road, you see an acolyte holding a dog on a leash, a rope.
This is most kind of you, Aegeus.
He laughs. He says, I heard that you wanted a dog.
I had a dog many years ago, and I have not had one from it since he died. But it would be good to have companionship in the house again. Thank you.
You are welcome. I have some coins saved up, and please feel free to name him. Perhaps he will fight your battles for you.
That would be a great gift. Thank you. I will not name him lightly. These decisions must be taken soberly and with thought. I will see what his nature is, how it is expressed in his actions, and then I will make a decision. Thank you, Aegeus. A noble gift from a noble soul.
He nods and walks off.
And Snares sort of wanders over and slightly awkwardly pats the dog and stares into its eyes as if he's trying to discern its character.
The dog just gives a few pants, and the acolyte pushes over the rope towards you, which is actually more than a rope. It's actually kind of it's a fairly legit rein style leash leather hooked to a collar that also serves, kind of hooks up as a collar in the back, and on the underside there's a little lasso you can put around its muzzle.
Yeah, I'll do that definitely. So just trying to sort of calm it, make sure it's, as it's kind of getting used to it, make sure it sort of smells his hand and slowly just calm it, and then put that over it and start leading it gently.
Yeah, it's clearly trained. It walks alongside you patiently. It doesn't outpace you. It doesn't lag behind. It keeps up. It's about hip high, very muscular,
Wow.
flat-faced dog. It's clearly trained for more than just being a pet. At the same time, each of you hear Phaedra whistle. Kind of the dog's head cranes in that direction. You see a large shadow of this massive owl kind of spiraling down in a circle towards her. And you notice on her arm she has like a kind of like a falconry guard there, and this huge owl just sits down on her forearm roughly, its wings just contracting suddenly to become a lot smaller than it was in the air.
Phaedra, she's kind of whistling. It's these very specific tones she kind of calls out. And as the owl lands on her arm, there's not a lot of kind of recoil from when it lands, as she's very much used to this. You see, she had mostly kind of a glower on her face as they were interacting within the temple. A bright smile now comes upon her face as she starts to stroke the feathers of her bird there. And she looks to the rest with definitely more happiness than she had before. Looks like my companion came back after all.
Yeah, the owl's head turns. It almost turns around, 180 degrees, right? And everyone gets the sense that it's like looking at them briefly, like it's almost taking stock of them. Owls are they can be taken as many different ways in your culture. They can be bad omens, they can be good omens, they can be wisdom, they can be curses. So it's quite uneasy, and you don't see them take to people at all.
Aegeus will still smile, and as he looks over at it, kind of amazed, and a beautiful creature.
That is exactly what Vidya said. We've raised him since he was but a small hatchling. It was not easy, but we've come to understand each other.
Snares has actually gone very quiet as he's sort of tending to the dog. Won't seem too significant to Phaedra, but Aegeus will know that for Snaeus, if he if he feels a sort of any strong emotion coming over him, he tends to go very, very quiet while he tries to rein it in. So this is obviously this gift of the dog, knowing that this is a very expensive, thoughtful gift, has really touched him, and he's sort of struggling to sort of master the emotion because he believes he shouldn't give in to it.
As two of you are pining over animals, you do hear the sound of clip, clop, click, clop, click, clop of a horse coming closer. Gorgas, in the distance, you recognize the attire of a soldier, not unlike your own. The helm is fashioned slightly differently, which would lead you to believe it is a senior officer, or not a senior officer, but an officer of some sort of the guard.
Gorgas looks down. He stands up. He's taking a seat on some rock or something nearby as everyone was handling their affairs with animals or equipment. He stands up to try to get a better look and see if it's a warrior he recognizes or not.
As the person gets closer, you don't recognize the man necessarily. The helm it's a bit off-putting because you're I think it would be a centurion rank, or a legionnaire, and this person would be a centurion, which is a higher rank than you. But you recognize the horse, and you get this kind of uneasy feeling in your stomach that it's Mythras, and he pulls back the visor on this helm to reveal his face. As the horse gets closer, he kind of leans forward. Ah, Gorgos, I did find you before you left.
And he stands up, knowing that he's going to have to deal with a bit of difficulty now. Is there a proper way to refer to centurions?
Probably just centurion.
Do you have some news to bring to me, centurion?
I do. I'm glad you have recognized my rank, which is higher than yours now. What do you think? Does my helm suit me?
I do not think it could suit anyone so much as you.
I am glad you think so, Gorgos. I was told that you were sent out on a quest for some Parosi.
That is not wholly correct, centurion, with all respect. I was sent to guard this man. He gesture over to Aegeus. I go where he goes, and if we go with the Parosi, that is where I go.
Mythras gives a nod over to Aegeus. Paladin, excuse me, may I speak to this legionnaire for a moment?
And Aegeus looks over towards him and nods his head. Of course. Do you have important business with Gorgos? He is very busy on an important mission.
I understand, Paladin. This will only take a moment. It is city guard business, nothing so important. Just a moment, please.
He nods to him, looks over towards Gorgos.
Gorgos just looks very severe, stoic, but his features are tightened on his face.
Yeah, Mythras canters his horse over a bit away, out of earshot from the rest, and waves to Gorgos to follow. He doesn't bother getting off his horse.
Yeah, Gorgos sighs and walks over to where Mythras is.
Gorgos, I have a direct order for you on this. You are to serve the Paladin, yes, But when you return, you are to give us all information of what has what has happened on the road. Full details. You will report to me in this.
I could think of no better way to get every detail to the guard than to give it to you, Menthios, of course.
Good. Watch the girl. She is not to be trusted.
Oh no, you have no worries in this, Centurion. I know precisely who I should and should not trust.
Good. Perhaps if you do this well, your family's honor can be restored to some point. Does that sound good to you, Gorgos?
Perhaps if such things are within reach, then they should be considered.
Good. Do this job for us, and my superiors will, and others that wish to know about these matters. Do not worry about them. Do this well, you will rise in status, and so will your family. Even though I do not believe they deserve it.
He tightens his jaw a bit and then nods. That would be a comforting thought.
Yes. Well, perhaps you will shed the sins of your father soon enough. Goodbye, Gorgos.
Yeah, Gorgos nods and turns, heads back, group, very deep scowl set on his face. Goes to Aegeus.
Mintios just from the distance kind of waves and calls out, "May Lanis' light shine on you, Paladin, and the rest of you. Good day."
Good day to you, Centurion.
He turns his horse and kicks it, and it quickly rushes down the road towards Naxos.
He just notices his discomfort, Gorgos' discomfort.
Gorgos, why don't you roll me Passion's Hatred, Menthios, to see kind of how you're able to keep your calm here.
Oh, it's probably not going to be very well, but we'll go ahead. I think it's going to be pretty obvious. Oh, wrong one. I think they're the same number.
No loyalty.
Oh, that's weird.
I don't know. I'll see what's wrong with that.
Let me try that one. There we go. Hatred meant.
Yeah, you've got. Yeah, so success in this means you've got to really show your hatred, right?
Yeah, it's very. Gorgos had been fairly stoic, like kind of just resting. I don't want to say resting bitch face, but he looks very angry typically. Just kind of unapproachable, but it's very clear that he is upset. He has a kind of a deep set scowl. His eyes are very harsh. Even under the helmet, he might have pulled his helmet down and tried to hide it a bit, but it's very clear he's angry.
Is everything all right, my friend?
No, not at all. He looks to Aegeus. Will it be off soon? I wish to leave this place.
Yes, of course. And he looks at the others for a moment, then back towards Gorgos. Did he just come to show you how long his spear is?
Such as he always does when we encounter one another. I did not recognize him until he came closer. Perhaps his promotion is recent and he sought to show me.
I would say that seems accurate.
I should tell you that eyes are upon you, my friend.
On me? Or on the girl? He kind of whispers that more.
Yeah, he just kind of whispers in turn. All of you. I was asked to report.
He nods and says, I would expect no different. Did you ask for this assignment, I wonder?
No, and I'm surprised it was given to me.
I am not. Lanis's will.
If you say so, my friend. You are the one who is more experienced with the spiritual. I do not claim to know.
He smiles and starts to head off.
Cineas, can you give me a hard lore philosophy roll? It's your professional skills.
Oh, sorry. Question. Yep.
Okay. You heading straight to towards the swamps?
Yes.
Is there anything you want to do before you go? Or is everything settled?
Phaedra, she'd whistle for, kind of toss her arm up a little to have Phidias take flight again. And as she starts making her way out, as long as the three of you have everything you need, both I and Phidias will guide you to the place. And I guess you can bring your puppy too.
Do we need any supplies?
You would probably have enough supplies to get there and get back. It's a couple days walk. And Cineas has a mule if you want to bring it along. That's fine too.
Yeah. I had it slightly wrong. It's a donkey.
Donkey, yeah.
He's got enough to carry it.
Yeah, the temple would give you any supplies you required. All right.
Now, as we start off, just on the first hour or two of the journey, Snares is going to slowly introduce the war dog and the donkey to one another, just so they're not, messing with each other too much. To get them used to each other slowly.
Yeah, the donkey seems a bit, uneasy, but the dog is really quite well trained and doesn't give it any problems whatsoever.
Or getting the donkey used to the dog being around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You head out on the road for several hours. It's probably midday at this point, and in the distance, Phaedra, you see clouds, rising up and getting dark. Looks like the weather might start to change a bit. But otherwise, you're feel free to roleplay anything you want. If you don't have much to say on the road, we can skip forward.
Phaedra, as they're walking, she kind of looks back towards the others, more importantly towards Jason. Once we get to the area, it will, might help that the two of you use your eyes as well. See if you can find the exact place you found me.
Yeah. How clear are our memories of the place?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I muted. It not bad. The problem is it's a bit marshy up there. You guys don't know that area as well as Phaedra, or just in generally survival instincts. You were more drawn there by her blood, Cineas, than anything.
Could I still get any hint of that now?
Of what?
Of any sort of dried blood, or is it too stale now?
Yeah, there's no. You don't get any sense of any blood from that. You smell, or you getting a sense of blood from animals at farms and stuff like that, but nothing up that way really.
Fair enough.
It's pretty far too. It's really kind of at the
Yeah.
edge of your.
I meant once I got closer. Yeah.
You
but-
just not. Well, you definitely not yet.
But no,
But no.
okay.
Any blood that would have been there. This has been several days. It would be gone.
Cool.
Aegis would be watching now, and as they're walking. I suppose he's probably walking behind her a little ways, and he will say, what is it that you call your companion?
His name is Phidias.
Interesting. He followed you all the way and watching over you.
And that is how it has been since I found him. I watched over him when he was small and frail. He watches over me.
Gorgos kind of chimes in. It is strange for such a creature to follow someone. They are not known for it.
It probably just takes a patient type to deal with such a creature.
I was wondering, is the bow your favorite weapon?
Yes, it is. It is the easiest to hunt with.
And he looks like at his shoulder there where his is, and he's got he's got a recurve bow. It's nicely made, finely crafted, and it was pretty expensive, but he's probably never used it once, And he looks at it, and he looks at her short bow and says, would you like to try this one?
Phaedra looks back. There's a slight pause in her step. And she finally puts down a foot. She continues to walk. I am fine with what I have. I don't need your gifts of charity.
He smiles and he says, very good then. I figured you would probably be better with it than I would.
There is no doubt that I'd be better at it than you would be.
Ah. He laughs.
Now, if you want to do a competition for said bow, I would be most obliged. I will not take the charity, though. Like I said, you've done enough for me.
All right. Let us try a shot. Shall we?
Sure.
There's various trees along the way that you could use as a target.
He says, maybe you could win it from me.
That would be good. But what are my stakes? Is it you having more dreams about me?
Gorgos laughs.
Let us say this. If I win, you have to share with me a story.
Fine.
He takes his bow off of his shoulder. He sucks at the bow, I'm pretty sure.
Do you have an archery combat style, right? Yeah. So you both would just use your combat styles. So archery for both of you, I think, and then just see who's got the best roll.
So just combat style?
Yeah, just combat style is fine.
Oh man.
Okay. So, did we lose somebody?
Oh, I for some reason jumped out.
Oh.
I think I hit the wrong button.
Alright, so this would be like an opposed roll. So you both succeeded. Did anybody critical? I don't think so. Nope. So, how does it look as you both hit the target right next to each other? A notch in the tree.
Oh,
Phaedra looks at Ajay. I think that you were speaking ill of your skills in order to win.
oh. I think that was just luck. Or maybe my finely crafted bow.
First impressions can be deceiving. It is in the second go-round that you find who people really are. I say second shot. Gorgos looks at the two of them.
Agreed.
Phaedra nods and she'll fire hers again.
Yeah, this time, Aegeus, you still hit the tree, but you're off like 3 or 4 inches from the notch, where Phaedra hits it just left of center, right next to your other arrows, actually inside of them both for the last shot. Quite a good shot.
Nice. And it just laughs, and he says, "It looks like the bow is yours."
Phaedra gives a small smile for a moment before she nods. That I can be in agreement to that. She holds out a hand for the bow.
And he hands it to her and nods. It says, "A fine shot."
And you as well. I'm sure with a few more years of training, you'll be just as good as I am.
Gorgos notes the tree notches and kind of rubs his beard a bit, exaggerating. Now that second shot, that is more like the man I went to war with, Aegeus.
He says, "I'm much better with a spear."
This I can also attest to.
Hopefully we won't have to see anyone get into any sort of combat.
Ah, yes.
Agreed. I have seen too many wounds to wish to patch up more.
I doubt your time is up for patching up wounds, Negus.
I doubt it too, but I am not eager to hasten the next time.
So one thing system-wise, just so normally, I kind of was just skimming through it how it works. Normally it would be if you both have the same level of success, which is basically not a critical or not a failure. So you both passed on that first roll. It's whoever's highest, closest to their cap. So Aegeus rolled a 12, and Phaedra rolled a 31. She has a better success in that instance. So we'll keep that in mind for next time. So it's whoever's closest to their skill level.
Cool.
Okay.
So you would have won anyway. After you collect your arrows, you start to head on after maybe grabbing some food and a bit of rest. Phidias mostly keeps to the air, or sometimes he'll land, or you'll see him dive down and grab something out of the tall grass and lift it into the air and take it and eat it. It disappears every once in a while, but after no more than an hour, it's always back overhead. And it's clear that the temperature is dropping and starts to rain, and you hear distant thunder claps. You do know that there are some farms in the area, and it's, the day is growing long. You can try to push through this storm, or you could potentially seek shelter at a farmstead.
Phaedra, assessing how the weather is going, she looks back to the others. It might be a good idea for us to find somewhere to rest for the evening. Else we'll be walking in wetness.
Agreed. He starts to look out over the countryside to see if he can see one of the farms closest.
There are small trails that head off. This is a very small trail that's pretty much disappeared at this point, but there is a farm nearby. You can see there's a small trail that heads off to it. You can see olives on the vine, and you can see grapes and that kind of thing.
And he points off towards the farm, and we shall seek sanctuary there.
Phaedra nods and turns her direction to head for the farm.
As you approach the farm, there's no one out in the fields with the rains coming. It starts to come down, and instead of a sprinkle, it's steady, and you can hear it kind of banging off the clay roofs of the buildings as you approach. You don't see anyone, but you hear people talking, servants and slaves laughing as you pass one of the outer buildings.
Aegeus will definitely make himself known. As to not startle anyone or anything like that. Walking up. Hello.
Yeah, a man peeks his head out. Hello there. What, he looks a bit surprised. Well, coming out of the rain, strangers. How may I help you?
Hello. We need a place to stay for the night. To get out of the storm.
He looks over your attire and, Are you a paladin of Lanis? Of course. Come. Charity is Lanis' gift to a farmer such as me of what I can help the four of you.
He gives him a warm smile. And he says, many thanks. We will be going tomorrow and trouble you no more.
Well, I'd worry not about that, sir. I must ask, well, I'll... Come. He waves you inside. You see a woman in the corner. Basically, she is putting things on a plate, and she looks up and turns. Oh! Hello there! She looks a bit startled.
Aegeus will take his helmet off and nod to her and good day to you. I am sorry to trouble you, but we need a place to stay for the night.
Well, of course, I'll have our guest rooms made up. You'll have to share. If you wish to stay in the house, which, of course, I would be more than happy to offer, but our home is small. I could kick the servants out of the servant house if you wish to stay there. I would never even think of but putting you in the slave quarters. I'm sorry, masters.
And he looks around at the area, and he says, this will be fine. No need to trouble yourself with removing the slaves.
I will stay in the slave quarters if it gives the woman her own privacy, and he nods over to Phaedra. Oh, apologies. Phaedra, Paros.
And Cineas says somewhat dryly, "The woman has a name, Gorgos," and smiles.
I do not mind sleeping in the slave out the servant quarters. I do not need special attention.
What? Oh, that is not special attention, ma'am. I'm sorry, we had a visitor already, and he is... And you see this man walk down the hallway. He has a strange look about him. He's tall, very handsome. Hair is pulled back, and it's dark, black. His eyes are blue, and he has... I'm not sure if it's a birthmark or a tattoo over his eye. And, oh, look here. Chased out from the rain, just as I. The farmer and his wife kind of shrink back as he walks down the hallway.
He just looks over towards him with his helmet kind of under one shoulder or one arm, and raises an eyebrow. And you are?
Ah, they call me Velos.
Ah, Aegeus.
Aegeus. You look the man of a paladin of Lanis, eh?
That is correct.
Well, Lanis does have his moments, but the sun is blotted out above. Ha! He cannot shine always, can he?
I suppose he must rest sometimes as well.
And the night... Ha! He looks at Gorgos. The night is when the real fun begins, isn't it?
If you say so, I prefer to sleep when the sun goes down.
All virtuous men do.
Ah, but I am not a virtuous man. You have me figured out already. What is your name, old man?
My name is Cineas.
Cineas.
What manner of man are you then, Velos? You say you are not a good man.
Oh, I'm a rogue. What can I say?
So do you say you are a thief?
Oh, not that... Maybe of women's virtue?
Phaedra sneers at that. Interesting.
Cineas' eyebrows have arched further and further and further in disapproval until they're almost meeting his hairline. And he looks across them and says, "So, we have established your character, but what of your profession?"
Oh... I don't make much money. And you look him over and he's dressed completely fine. He's not like dressed like someone who's destitute. He has gold bands on his wrists. But I find I do this or that. I do like to act, put on plays, that sort of thing. Sing, drink. Not sure I make money at that, but I like it.
I see. A life of merriment.
Merriment, that's it. He looks over at Phaedra and he's like, why are you so... You seem quite... What is the word I am looking for? A sour temperament. I am surprised.
And why is that exactly?
Well, when I enter the room, most are quite happy to see me.
Well,
I...
unfortunately for you, that is most. I am not most.
Huh, I see. Well... Would anyone...
Phaedra has better judgment than most.
Oh, does she? Well, that is good. Would anyone like to share some wine with me? Am I interrupting you?
He just smiles at him and shakes his head. Not at all.
Wonderful. This is Adria and Artemis, her husband. Would you be... would you grab us some food? I believe we'll need more, Adria. And she kind of... Yes, Velos, I'll go. And she kind of shuffles off towards the kitchen as Artemis nods and follows her, and they kind of leave everybody there. There's a large table, and Velos just kind of plops down. There's already a mug of, or a goblet of wine that he grabs and takes a large drink of. Oh, they do have some good vintage here.
Did they look scared of him?
No, just kind of confused, unsure. It's hard to say. I mean, that could mean a lot of things, right?
Gorgos would, as they go to the kitchen, I will aid the two of you. There are many mouths to feed. He will lean his spear up against the side of the wall carefully.
Yeah, they just nod and kind of shuffle off with you through the kitchen.
Phaedra shall take a seat, table far away from Velo.
Snares goes out for a bit to tend to his dog and his donkey.
Yeah, they'll take them to a stable where they're out of the elements.
Yeah, he actually wanted an excuse to just get away from this guy for a while.
Yeah, understood.
He's irritating him immensely. He doesn't like the fact he's getting irritated. He wants to calm himself down.
Yeah. Well then, Paladin, will you join us? Your other cohorts have fled off, it appears. As if I'm a great barbarian army.
He smiles and looks for a place to place his helmet and does so with care as he finds it. And he says, of course, I will sit with you and share some stories.
And some wine, I hope. I do see that beyond the light of Lanis in your eyes, there is something there that tells me you like a good flagon of wine.
Perhaps when I was younger.
Well, how can we relive our youth? By drinking our fill. Then all our pains and aches in our joints fade away, don't they?
But that's just it, Velos. I've changed over the years.
Well, why would you want to change from someone who enjoys wine and merriment to someone so stuffy?
I suppose the years of honor and duty have a way of doing such a thing.
Nah, that does not sound very much fun to me.
You remind me of myself when I was younger.
Oh, do I? That is peculiar. Tell me, How is that? Did you talk a lot? They say I talk a lot.
I did.
He looks at Phaedra. What was that, my dear?
Oh, my apologies. I will speak loud. You do.
Ah, well, I am sorry. I'm sorry. Where did your friends go? Gorgos, are you doing anything specific or just trying to get away from
I'd
the
sent you
guys?
some whispers. I'm not sure if you're getting them.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I did get it. Yeah, so we'll cut in there. So Artemis is fetching fetching more wine and bread and grapes and olives. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I did not catch your name.
I am Gorgos. I am a member of the city guard.
Oh, well, I thank you. We do not need help bringing the food. I do thank you, but I think Adria and I can bring it out ourselves. Do you need something?
I must confess, Artemis, I did not come in here to help you bring the food out, though I will help. I came here because that man has a look about him I do not trust, and I wanted to ask you directly away from him if he has threatened you, or you feel wary of his presence here.
He scratches the back of his neck. He has not threatened us, no. Am I wary of him? Well, yes, he is quite strange. He came yesterday and offered us quite a bit of coin to stay. He said until after the rains came. I did not know it was going to rain. I did not really know what he meant. But he has treated us fairly. He is quite talkative, and I believe he has, well, sown seed in all of my slave girls. But he has not. He is a strange one, yes. But no, he paid me well.
Well, we will stay the eve here. We have business in the marshes, but if anything happens between then and now, and I am not aware of it, please bring it to me or the paladin, and we will remove him from this place.
I do thank you for your attention and your security here. What was your name? Was it Gorgos, you said?
Yes, I am Gorgos.
Good. I do thank you. I think everything will be fine. He is just a very strange one. I will get this ready. We are just not used to strangers in our house, especially this many. We are just simple farmers here in the countryside.
Whatever is already prepared, let me take it out for you now. Save you a trip.
Yeah. Adria hands you over a clay plate with various bowls of breads, grapes, olives, figs, things of that nature. You walk back out and they're just kind of sitting there, and Velos is going on and on.
Yeah, Gorgos will bring his spear closer to him, but he will set the tray down in the middle of the table, remove his helmet, rest at the side of his chair, sit there and partake of some of the bread that is there.
Velos reaches forward and grabs a fig. Ah, look at this. This is wonderful. Thank you, big man. Thank you so much.
The man does have a name as well. Gorgos.
Gorgos. Big man Gorgos. I do like that name. Phaedra.
And Gorgos just kind of sighs, goes to eating his bread and taking water if it is there on the table.
I do wonder, does anyone, well, Aegeus, let me ask you, if perhaps we just had a few glasses of wine, and see perhaps who can drink the most. Would that be okay with you?
He smiles and shakes his head. I'm sorry, I could not partake. In such a luxury, I am on a specific task from the temple.
Are you? Is this a secret task, or could you tell Olvelas? I will not say anything, of course. I am very... what is the word?
Discreet.
Discreet, that is it.
Yes, this is the impression that we get of you, as I can hear you from the kitchen.
But did I tell you any secrets? I just said that I like to drink. I don't think that's a secret from anyone. Or that I talk a lot, as Phaedra, has admonished me for already.
Drink looses lips.
Oh, not mine. Not at all.
You do not seem a man who has good control over himself in any
Oh.
way, Velos.
Yeah.
As much is obvious.
I have perfect control of myself. Why do you... it's like a dagger in my heart, old man.
What are you
Exaggeration.
doing here, Velos?
Huh?
If I may ask.
I was on the road and I knew that it would begin to rain. I can feel it. And I decided to take a bit of a rest here.
And you're just a wanderer?
Yes. Just a wonder.
That's interesting. As for us, we are on an escort mission. And that is all.
Where are you going? This is the edge of the world, isn't it?
No, it is not. There are many places to go.
And where would the fine Korantine men and women go so far from the city-states? Naxos, yes, just around the corner, but everywhere else, eh? Not very interesting.
Exploration.
You're an explorer.
I am a guide
Where are you guiding?
to the place that they need me to guide them to.
And where would that be, my dear?
Unfortunately, you're not the one paying me.
I could. How much did they pay you? I'll pay you more.
Phaedra shakes her head. Unfortunately, my job relies on word of mouth. And it would not be good if I abandoned one job for another.
Velos, you are curious enough about our destination that you wish to pay for the information?
Why not? A secret is worth many, many things. Just for my curiosity.
Curiosity, another thing you are not in control of. I see.
Why do I need to be in control of my curiosity, old man?
You should rule your passions, my boy. You should not let them rule you.
Oh my goodness. This man is a bore.
I'm proud of it.
You're proud of being boring? Oh,
Yes.
that is strange. Have you ever heard of such a thing, Gorgos? I bet you are not boring.
I have sometimes craved a life lacking excitement, for I have found far too much in my short time walking this earth.
Yes, I thought so. I thought so. Well, is no one going to drink with me then? I mean, really drink, not just a sip of wine, but imbibement. Come.
And Eros, or Aegeus will pour another cup for him. And be like, please partake as much as you like.
Yeah, he's already drank like 2 or 3 cups as he's sat here. He doesn't seem any different, really.
I do not
Phaedra,
drink when I am on duty, else I might take you up on the offer.
I would like to see how much you could drink. You are a big fellow.
For you, I suppose. He continues to ignore him.
He looks to Phaedra. Yes, my dear.
She will pour her own self a cup. I am not doing this for you. I'm doing this because I do not get wine
Well, it is good
often.
wine. Fairly good, yes.
She gives him a slight nod and starts to drink.
Phaedra, I am... As in man of the arts, I do notice something quite... just a little off about your accent. You're not from Naxos, no?
No, I'm from Peros originally.
Yes, I do recognize that. Just a bit of Palosi. Well, I wonder. Do you walk under the light of Lanis like all these fine men?
I walk under the light that I create for myself.
Oh, what does that mean? That is very... what did you say? It is, just getting out of the conversation without really answering the question.
Well, if you want me to be more clear, I've made my own paths, carved my own way since I was small. I did not have Lanis to guide me, and I was but a child. I will not take up his offer now, as he did not help me when I most needed it.
When did you most need his help?
Phaedra, she takes a long drink of wine before putting it down. And when I was young, when I was more helpless.
I am sorry about that.
There's no need to feel sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for me. It made me who I am today.
And that is grumpy?
If you would like to take this as grumpy, yes.
That is unfortunate, very unfortunate. Well, if no one is really going to drink with me, I suppose I would be on my way.
Phaedra just nods to that and takes a handful of grapes from the plate.
You can tell that if Sineas didn't think it inappropriate to give in to his feelings, he'd be saying that I don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Well, I do believe it is still raining, but I know when my company is not appreciated, and I don't believe it's appreciated. I don't really understand, but...
Bayless takes a sip of some wine and he says, "Safe travels to you, Bayless."
Safe travels to you. And... Yes?
It's still raining.
Oh, what is a bit of
Why
rain?
you-
I've seen what I've wanted to see. I've talked to who I want to talk to.
What does that mean?
We've had a conversation, you and I. And your friends, so... not very interesting, honestly. I thought someone would drink with me. I thought it would be different, but it wasn't, so... I guess I will leave you now.
From where did you come, fellows?
Oh, very far away. Very far away.
And if you would indulge me before you go, who is it that you pray to, if anyone?
Oh, I'd most certainly do. Ingos, of course. The god of the hunt.
That is in the Korantine Pantheon.
It should be,
Mhm. Do I think he's full?
Go ahead. Let's see, what would the roll be? As I figure out what all the skills are. Insight, probably? Should be, it's a standard skill.
No way.
You think it's fine. I mean, there's no reason not to believe him, necessarily. You also know the god of the hunt also has like a second face, they kind of call it. It's like a trickster god, so that kind of resonates to you.
Okay.
The god of feast and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Gorgos is kind of nods and goes back to eating his bread.
Phaedra, she frowns slightly. Why do you not just leave when the storm is over?
You wish me to wait?
Well, you're going to catch cold.
Gets cold. Well, I do not like to be cold. I do like to be under the blankets with beautiful women, but and men. It matters not. But besides, I will stay if you will indulge me in some drinking and some feasting. I have not eaten very much of this. Do people enjoy eating more than they do drinking? We can see who can eat the most, perhaps. I would bet on Gorgos for that one.
I would make no effort to put more hardship on my hosts than I would as necessary. But you are welcome to leave.
What do you see, Paladin?
You notice Aegeus has started like cleaning over his weapons and stuff like that as he's sitting there. Every once in a while, he's occasionally taking a sip of his wine and stuff. And, he looks over towards Velos and says, "I should not partake. I'm on duty, as I said before."
Yes. Well then, I do not wish to interrupt your brooding, all of you, collectively. Quite a storm cloud inside, if I could say so. But as the old man is almost ready to break his stoic face in anger, I will save him that embarrassment and bid you all adieu.
I think you'll find I'm perfectly calm.
Yes, you do seem it. You do seem it.
And Aegeus will smile towards him and nod. "I do not mind your company, Velos. And like I said, you remind me of myself when I was younger."
Yes. I do think so. I wish that man was before me today. It would have been much more interesting. Well, I suppose I'll go. He stands up and slings a cloak over his shoulders and looks outside and, what is a bit of rain? Perhaps I'll do a song as I leave. Goodbye. And he just steps out and gives a wave and begins walking away.
Aegeus will laugh and look towards Phaedra. "Did you want him to stay?"
Phaedra, she shakes her head quick. No. Of course I don't want to stay. I just think it's silly. And you have a place and decided to stay for the night. Decided to stay out of the rain, as he had said he knew it was coming. Then he decides to leave.
It was strange that you spoke rather personally with him after the drink.
Phaedra. She stumbles on her words a little bit before taking another. I don't talk to people often.
I think Velos has a way of getting women to talk, perhaps.
Beware, Phaedra. That man is a temptation to a life of lack of virtue. He's a walking temptation.
I'm not interested in male flesh anyway. Don't need it. Don't
Well
want it.
spoken. Well spoken. I feel the need for some fresh air. And Snares walks out and just stands out inside in the rain with his arms crossed.
Aegeus is maybe sharpening his sword. Female flesh, then?
Phaedra, she's kind of staring outside. She looks back to... What?
Never mind. I shouldn't ask such a question. I was merely asking what you prefer, men or women?
Sorry, Rogue, I have no idea what you said. You're kind of...
Oh my god, no.
No, I heard you. I heard you.
Oh, give me 1 sec.
I really didn't hear that. I swear to God. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
He was asking if you're gay, I believe.
Oh,
And they were like, what?
I didn't hear anything you said. It was just like, it for me, so...
Let's make this slightly
No.
more.
We have...
I have no idea what he said, so... Can you just repeat what you said there? 'Cause-
Yeah. At first, he said,
Do you prefer female flesh, I think, because you said something.
female flesh, yeah. A female flesh, then? That's what it was.
Or owls, maybe? You know.
Phaedra's cheeks, the color, and she again just shakes her. No, I do not enjoy any flesh. I have heard, I know what men are like. They leave you behind. They leave you with nothing. I prefer to not engage.
I
So
see.
you are a virgin in these matters.
I'm going to go outside. Phaedra stands quickly in a huff and just marches outside towards Phidias.
Gorgus laughs and he drinks a little bit of wine now that the other guy's gone.
Yeah, Phidias immediately comes over to you, Phaedra, and he was on a pillar, and it was looking off in the distance, following Velos, after what you saw, and it just immediately plops onto your wrist, and it, like, hoot, hoot, as sometimes it does. It's not very vocal.
She pets the top of his head for a little bit and shakes her. You should really not talk to strangers. And also get out of the rain.
It is hoot and takes off, and you think it goes into the rafters of one of the barns.
Phaedra, she frowns, looking, I'm guessing, at kind of the remnants of Velos, and she's watching him leave in the rain before turning around with a bit of a shiver and heading back inside.
As she's heading back inside, she probably catches the end of Aegeus's talking to Gorgos and saying, "Now, that man, Velos, that's the kind of man that will leave you. I'm sure he's left many women behind, as I did when I was young."
He is leaving behind more now. I spoke with the farmers to make sure he was not threatening them when I went in to collect the food. They said he bedded almost every slave girl they had, left his seed in them.
Ugh, this is what I mean.
Not all men are as, what is the word we should use? As a scoundrel. But I will admit that that one set a bad example.
I have not seen a man who is not a scoundrel down deep.
You should consider yourself fortunate that you travel with 3 who are not scoundrels. Not that any of us wish to wed you, as far as I know.
Yes, comes walking in out of the rain, sort of shakes it off, and says, "Ah, well said, Aegeus. Well said. We are 3 virtuous men, Phaedra. Do not question that."
Phaedra doesn't quite look very impressed over towards Aeneas. Sure. I will hope that 3 of you are virtuous, else my long spear has not tasted human flesh before, but if it needs be, it will.
Perhaps I misspoke. That man made me speak intemperately. Let us say we are 3 men who seek virtue, 3 men who aspire to virtue. No man is perfect. But your spear will not be needed.
Not for you, anyway. She takes a seat back where she was before.
Yeah, so Naos will do the same. Sit down and eat. He barely touched his food because he was too busy scowling at Velos before.
Are you in better humors now, Cineas, that the antithesis to you is no longer in the room?
That man was a walking temptation to passions of anger for some and other baser passions for others. It was most irritating. A great test, I felt. Great test.
And perhaps we speak of more pleasant things. How is your
Yes.
practice in the city?
It goes well. It goes well. I have been able to help many orphans in my area with the proceeds. My patients are my number of patients is growing, and my reputation in the town is better and better over time. There are many who trust in my skills now. It is gratifying.
This is good. You have earned it. But I would ask you, do you still have many open appointments, or is much of your time taken up by the influx of new patients?
I have much time to myself, I must admit. But many of my patients are wealthy and they pay well. With that, I can help those who are less wealthy.
I was going to ask you if you could see my youngest sister, Corina. She was involved in another tumble with a girl in the neighborhood. A fight, I am afraid.
Do not judge her too harshly. She is young. She will learn. Of course, I would be glad to see her.
I would appreciate it. The wounds are not great, but Perhaps she could seek your wisdom.
Was she fighting about your family again?
She would not speak to me of it, but from what I understand, the guard there who broke it up was not too angry with me. I believe that is the root cause once again.
It is such injustice that you all should have to suffer for something that was not of your choosing, not of your doing.
Believe me, old friend, you are the only one who cares. The others in the city, this is just normal business.
Yes, most men are short-sighted. This is our curse. And he looks across to Phaedra. He says, "Tell me of your family, Phaedra."
I thought you advised against being too personal.
Well, seems we are to spend some time on the road together. I was merely exchanging pleasantries. It is, of course, up to you how much you tell. I would not wish to pry like that man who just left.
I'm sure you've heard of my mother. The one who wanders around Naxos, screaming about things, and generally going through insanities. I believe you've assisted me in getting her home on more than one occasion.
Yes, of course. I'm sorry to bring it up. I should have remembered. A tragic case.
Tragic indeed. One of a man not bothering to come home, not bothering to help raise his child, and a woman who pined after him for years and years.
Such is the legacy of men like this Velos. They think only of their pleasure and not of the harm they bring to others. It is a darkness that they hide behind a smile. I'm sorry to have raised it, Phaedra. It was ill-spoken of me.
Don't be sorry. Everyone in Naxos knows about her, knows about us. It is not something I can get away from, but I cannot abandon her.
Of course not.
She is...
And anytime you need help with her, I will be glad to help.
I wish to not have help with her. I wish I could cure her of what ails her. Unfortunately, what ails her is a heart that has been broken. And for some reason, I don't know. Something's gripped her after all these years. Thinking that he will come back if she performs rituals in forests or asks people to participate. I don't understand it. And she pours herself another cup of wine and starts to drink it fairly quickly.
Perhaps she could seek healing in the light of Lanis.
She spits a bit of her wine. The church. Lanis does nothing. Does nothing for me. I apologize.
He smiles and he says, Lanis saved me.
Lucky for you.
He looks over to Cineas almost as if he's forgetting something, and I suppose it was not all Lanis. Cineas saved me.
Men do what they can, Aegeus, and we pray to the gods for the rest. There is some little credit to me, and for that I thank you, but there is credit to the god, and there is credit to you for the choices you have made.
Aegeus nods. He stands up to go start to clean off his helmet as well.
It is a wonder how much interest the gods have in us at all, if I am to be perfectly blunt.
None is the answer.
That is one school of thought.
Why do you say this, Gorgos?
Well, I am a man of many experiences, not just the one in the city either. Aegeus and I went to war together. Forgive me for mentioning, Sineas, I do not believe you have ever been to war, have you?
I have not.
Then I envy you, my friend. I would not wish to go again. Not in something like that. Protecting a city, breaking up a scuffle over men who drink too much. That is a civic duty. This is something that I do not mind. Ramming my spear into a man's skull because he follows a different leader than mine. I did not feel so good about that one.
He just kind of slows his hand as he's patting down his helmet and wiping it off. Yes, there were many horrors in the wars.
And what kind of gods allow their followers, those that toil in their name, to slaughter one another in such a way? It can only mean so much. They take less interest than we give them credit for, or they do not care at all, as Mythras says. I mean no disrespect to you, my friend, on your path you walk. If Lanis saved you, then he saved you. For me, I have trouble believing that any god cares about me overmuch.
No offense. I take no offense at all, my friend. A man believes what he wants, as does a woman. And he nods towards Phaedra. They must find their own way.
One sec. Are you
And-
back, Matt? Are you still getting choppy stuff?
Yeah, I'm still getting chopped. Sorry, give me
Yeah,
one
do you want to
second, I'm
try just log out of Discord all the way or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one sec.
You can take 5 minutes.
Mhm. Ah, that's weird. Oh, okay, there it is. How are you doing the Gorgos smirks?
/M /EM and then space and then as long as you have your name as your character, like at the bottom right, as Gorgos, for example, for me, then the name will automatically be in after /M, so you just type, yeah, there you go.
Emote, I think is what it stands
Yep.
for.
Yep,
Yeah.
/EM, yep.
Cool.
The one thing I'm very happy about is that I don't have to get to certain spots in a session, because I'm trying to tie up all these sessions together, right?
Yeah.
With The Witcher, I have to this one has to end this way, and so I can just let this go as long as I want, or doesn't have to end at a certain time. It's nice. So
Why not split the party?
yeah.
Well, I'm out of here. I'm going after.
Yeah, we got a party. Velosness had a party. Let's go.
Naos is going off to form a double act with
Yeah.
Velos.
Passion of killing you.
No.
Yeah. How's it sounding?
I don't know why. It's just being really choppy for
Are you
me.
pinging high or anything like that?
I think I might be, but the thing is, it's saying it's fine.
Hmm.
Like the connection's green.
I'm
I
hearing
don't
you.
understand
Yeah,
what
you
it is.
sound fine.
Yeah, everyone else sounds like robots to me.
You could try. The only time I had that was when I ended up muting rhythm. You could try that. Just see if that improves the sound quality.
Mute
If you
rhythm.
mute rhythm.
Mute the bot.
Mute
yeah.
rhythm? Okay.
It's a bit of a long shot, but I tried that once when I was having a similar problem, and it seemed to help a bit.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm gonna just leave and rejoin and see if it works again.
Okay.
Yep. Can
Any
you
better?
hear us?
Maybe talk a bit.
Yeah. Okay. So,
la, la.
do you guys have anything else you want to do for the rest of the night? Any other things you want to talk about specifically? We can move on otherwise.
No, I think we can. Guys?
No, I think it's
How do we sound to you, Matt?
it's it's still bad on my
Still
end.
doing
It's
it.
like it's fine for a bit and then it goes really choppy
Yeah.
and then it's fine and then it's choppy. So
Let's see.
I don't know what's wrong. I've like muted rhythm. I've turned it down just in case. I blame Discord.
Definitely.
Canada.
And now I can finally hear you. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
there's
it's
that.
weird that you sound perfect to us, but
Yeah. Well, okay, so it's going a bit okay right now.
well, let's just push through for another
Oh,
10
okay,
or
perfect.
15 if possible, and then we can
Yeah.
be done. So
Not jinxing it. It sounds
Okay,
good.
cool.
So let's
Okay.
go.
So each of you retire to wherever the rooms that you're given. No one is forced to sleep in the slave quarters. People can sleep in the servants' quarters if they want, but Velos's room is open, which is given to Aegeus. It's the nicest room and whatnot. The day dawns, and it's a very, very bright day. Fills Aegeus's heart with hope as Lanis is guiding their way, so to speak. Artemis presents you each with breakfast, and I want to thank you for stopping in. It is our pleasure that you have come here and graced us with our presence. Look at Lanis's light. He has blessed us this day. He's specifically speaking to Aegeus, but
Yeah. And Aegeus smiles and looks off towards the horizon and at the day, pretty much the sky around. He says, "It is a good day. Thank you so much." And he'll also drop 10 silver in his hand. Say, "Please, take this."
oh, I could not. The Velos paid us much more than this anyway. We will be able to refill our cupboards quite easily. I could not take this from you. Please.
He smiles and he says, "May Lanis watch over you."
He nods. And you, sir.
All right then. Are we ready then?
Yes. Phaedra's gotten dressed. Has now her recurved bow strapped to her back. Though she does have her short bow as well with her, just in case. She looks to Aegeus. You like to throw around your coin there.
Do I? He, as he's putting the coins back away, and he says, I do not have much to spare. spend it on, I suppose, anymore.
Such a hardship.
Smiles.
And he says, and all of my family is dead. I am alone now, so I give my service to Lanis. And I get paid, so I've saved up a bit of coin.
And my condolences for your family, Rajesh.
Sneha says, Phaedra, I think perhaps you mistake him. He did not mean this as a careless throwing away of coin. He meant it as a kindness to these people.
Sometimes the exchanging of coin can be seen as a kindness to one and just flagrant distribution of their own wealth to others.
I see.
Like Velos.
Exactly.
Mm. None of us would wish to be like Velos. A good point. Thank you, Phaedra.
Of course, if you'd like me to point out any other thing about how to not make poor people get very upset at your amount of coin, I can definitely do that for you. For a price, of course.
It is comforting to have an expert on such things at our side.
Yes, I'm an expert at being poor. Thank you for pointing it out, Koribos.
Of course, I find myself in a similar position, I must say.
Phaedra can't help but keep a bit of a smirk on her face. I'm trying not to laugh at that.
Maybe I should pay you for your advice later.
It's fine, Jace.
You have already lost your bow to her. You wish to give her more money?
I will not say no.
He just smiles, keeps on.
As the social justice warrior of the group, Phaedra tells you how bad you're being. you head out of the farm. I would like everybody to give me an awareness roll, please.
Do we need to roll awareness? We're all very aware of the point.
No, not for that.
Oh, this is something
exactly-
different. Oh, you mean
rich
perception?
motherfucker.
You mean perception?
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
That's agency.
That's going to be LW in P section.
Oh.
Wow.
And I'm pretty good at that.
I've rolled really badly for everything so far.
Phaedra and Gorgos. As you're making your exit on the trail out of the farm, you both notice, speaking of wealth, basically a bracelet, a golden bracelet lying on the side of the road. You think that it was one that Velos was wearing. I mean, this thing is at least 2 inches wide.
Phaedra's
Gorgos
going...
would go to it, try to go to it quickly.
Oh,
If he sees it.
Phaedra is going to also go over to it.
Let's see. Are you trying to like snatch it? People are trying to snatch it before they get to it. Is that the?
I mean, I'm just going. I'd see it, and I'm going up to it quickly because he has a thought. When
Yeah.
he sees it. If he recognizes it.
How about
the
how about
fellow.
athletics? Just give me an athletics roll.
No. Wait, Phineas, go.
Yeah, you both kind of like start like and you do like bump into each other as you're going for it.
So undignified.
Phaedra looks over to Gorgo. I assume you had the same plan.
It would appear that poor minds think alike.
It seems so.
But he will reach down for it. Aegeus was the one carrying the mask, or was it Phaedra who was carrying the mask?
I don't think any of us.
No, they
kept
kept the mask.
They kept the
it.
mask. Does this? So I know the mask was
It
bronze
was
or golden?
bronze, yeah.
Bronze. Disregarded then. He might have had a thought that, but I thought it was gold.
Yeah, this is very ornate compared to that. That was very plain. So there are masks that are like more masquerade balls, so they're like very ornate, but that was almost like it was just to cover the face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gorgas looks it over, and the man likes to leave things laying around.
Aegeus,
reason of despair.
Aegeus will approach and kind of a questioning look on his face. And what is this?
A bracelet from the drunkard of last night.
Does it have any runes or symbols specifically?
It
or
does,
anything like
but
that?
nothing that is obvious. They look ornate. They don't look like they're actually a language or mean anything that you can tell.
I was going to ask you, can I identify any magical items or anything like that? Or is
You don't
there-
have a spell that would do that.
Okay.
Cineas will look at it disdainfully and say, "So gaudy."
But it was good to see.
Indeed. And Gorgos will offer to Phaedra. Say nothing for now.
She will take it without any hesitation and kind of quickly put it away in a bag she has.
Yeah, you're surprised, both of you, particularly Phaedra being smaller. Just it isn't as heavy as you would expect something like that. Just kind of like, yeah. But after you find that, there's not much really that happens on the road. You head north. Let me switch the scene again.
I was going to
Yeah.
say on the road, Cineas and I won't roleplay because it's going to be tedious. Cineas bores on to Phaedra for hours about how she should give the money to the poor.
So to herself,
I know
I
it.
will give it to myself. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. With things she is poor, it's probably
Pretty early as the Cineas is kind of droning on and on about giving it to the poor, she kind of stops dead in her tracks and looks to Cineas. Cineas, what do I look like to you?
someone who is better than this, Phaedra.
Unfortunately, I am not. I have to work quite hard to make any sort of living. I have to support a woman who can't support herself. It is just the two of us. There is no man to assist in any of this. I would say we qualify as fairly poor and not well off. I would not be... I will not be shy about this fact. I'm not going to give it away or give any of the proceeds to anyone who you deem as more deserving. If I am to help someone who is in a tighter position than I am, I will, with my physical capabilities or the things that I know. Other than that, you can drone on as much as you want, but it will not happen.
This saddens me, Phaedra. Much as I have no regard for that Velos fellow, it sits ill with me to take something that does not belong to me. But you're right. My situation is not your situation, and perhaps I should not judge. I will concentrate on my own actions.
Phaedra nods. Exactly. No, come. And she continues walking.
In a way, Cineas, it was not Velos's anymore either. He graciously donated it to the Earth once more.
An interesting point, Gorgos.
She could always give it back when she sees him again.
If it is in her possession, I suppose.
Yes.
See Velos before I end up selling it. Sure, you can have it back.
You would like to see him again, right, Phaedra? He teases.
Once I am dead and in the ground, I hope he's not the last vision that I have, but if my life flashes before my eyes, that will be the only time that I see him again.
Your path leads for another day north. Let me switch something real quick. One sec. What?
Phidias. Phidias.
Phidias is on top of Pride Rock now.
Yep. He owns that rock. It belongs to him.
It does.
Just needs Phaedra to just hold
I
him up.
know no fear, but that thing, it scares me.
Alright.
Twa!
You begin to approach the swampy areas. You're far away from Naxos now, at least a full day or more of walking. The ground becomes soft, intermixed with dark rock. Phaedra, you've come here before. This is pretty good hunting area because there's quite a lot of wildlife in these swamps. Aegeus and Cineas, you've been here maybe once, and that was to collect Phaedra. Aegeus, maybe you've been here before. Maybe you both have been here for hunting reasons, but you're not very familiar with it. Let me see something. Okay. So, Phaedra, or anyone actually that has navigation or track, please roll that.
Ugh.
Ouch.
I ain't got shit. Unless survival was
Oh, I
a
have
factor into this in any way.
Should I roll both navigation and track, or just
one, whichever one that you...
Ah. Well,
So I would survival would be okay. I would give you it'd be a hard though.
I mean, it's already gonna be hard, but we'll try it. And
Nobody else have anything? I'm guessing. Phaedra, since you would the one that first, roll me a 1d. Actually, a 1d6.
1d6, sure.
Yeah.
Unless I can pray.
You can pray. you're
Lanis won't answer
You
you.
can always pray.
you're walking through the bog, and it's kind of slow going. Where the sun of the previous day of Lanis shone your way forward, this day is covered by a fog, and it gives Aegeus some cause for concern, being in a place where Lanis' light is not easily seen above. Cineas, you're walking, leading your donkey, and you notice that you see that your newly unnamed dog is not actually at your side. When you turn around, you see it's like it looks a little confused and it whimpers, and you see that it's sunk into the ground up to its chest.
All right. Cineas will alert the others and say, "The dog!" And he'll rush back to it, but obviously making sure he doesn't blunder into the same sort of pool or mud pit that it's in.
Yeah,
Phaedra will hurry as well.
yeah. Phidias is soaring above, looking down at this dog that appears to be sinking, and the people looking at it in shock as the camera pulls back through the fog and the screen goes black, and that is where we'll stop for tonight.
Oh no, puppy. No!
Another
Artax.
another dead dog.